And we are live. Hello and welcome to Kitchen Chat with Home Cooks. And today we're going to have a ball. We're going to be playing around here in the kitchen. Did you know that today is National Cookie Day, December 4th every year? So, before we leave the kitchen today, that we're going to have to put together some delicious cookies. And so we're going to play around with that. But first, I'm going to do one of my weeknight wonders over here. That's my oven going off. So I'm so glad that all of you are here. I have my glasses so I can make sure that I can read as comments come in. But we're going to have a good time right here in the kitchen. Now, I'm in the process of trying to finish off my coffee, and it's 12 noon. So this coffee has been going now since about 7 o'clock this morning. I added a little Swiss Miss to it, added a little bit of creamer to it, and it's a great cup of chocolate mocha coffee at this point. So let's get into what we're going to be doing. Now, the first thing that I'm going to start, because it's going to require a little bit of time, is that I'm going to make, hi Ronnie, I'm going to make our vegetable soup first. So in my pot, and I am doing this using my almost total, and in fact total, plant-based recipe. So I'm going to bring you in just a little bit, turn you down, and we are going to get right here into the pot. Now, we want this to be a weeknight wonder. So because of that, we're going to use some things that, remember, we like some homemade and some store-bought. So we're going to be using a few things that are store-bought. Now, first of all, I'm going to start with a mirepoix, and this is a combination. It has onions, celery, red peppers, green peppers, and parsley flakes already in it. So I'm going to open that. I'm going to add in, actually I'm going to put in the whole bag, because whatever's left over of this soup, I'm going to use it later on during the week or even have it for lunch. So we got our onions in the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of our house seasoning. And house seasoning is necessary. So I'm going to sprinkle in about a teaspoon to start. And as we go along, we'll taste it and see how much more we'll need. But this does not have any salt. We're not going to add any oil, and there won't be any sugar in this. But those cookies are going to be delicious, and they are going to be sweet. So, we have to cut back where we can. All right, so we've got our house seasoning in, and I'm going to turn this up so it can come up pretty quickly. And we're going to talk about a few things that we're going to be using. Now, I'm opening a bag of Southern style hash browns. Those are going to be my potatoes, because remember, this is a weeknight wonder. And when you have a weeknight wonder, you're going to do a few things to save you some time. So this is one of those things. The nice thing about the weeknight wonders, rather than you're having to chop and to dice all the potatoes, they're already done for you. So these are going to be going in very early in our cooking, because we want those potatoes to be nice and tender. So we're going to add in just a touch of water. Let me get a cup. I'm going to add in about a half cup of water to start us off with. Okay, we've got a half cup of water. And the reason we're putting that in is because of the fact that we are not adding oil. So this is going to go down. We're going to get this to a nice rolling boil. And once this starts to boil, then we can start to add everything else in. Kind of cut the heat back just a little bit. And then we're going to be able to actually get this ready very quickly. Now, you know, the longer it simmers, the better it's going to be. So for those of you who are at home, you can put this pot on just about now at 12 noon. And oh my goodness, by 5 or 6 o'clock, whenever you serve dinner, this will be the best pot of soup that you'll want, because it will have had time enough to simmer and for all of those flavors to go through. So our heat's coming up to temperature, and I'm going to talk about, while we're shifting back and forth, while this is getting hot, let's talk about our cookies. Now, I would have started the cookies earlier, but because of the fact that I know it's going to be noisy, I didn't want to start the mixer too early. So I have in 2 sticks of butter already in, and we're going to cream that, and we're going to get it nice and fluffy, get lots of air in there. And then we're going to start to add the sugar. We're going to add some cocoa. Yes, white chocolate and chocolate. Decadence. That's what it's going to be. So we're going to get those going, and we'll have those cookies going. Now, see how quick that was? It's over there boiling already. So we're going to give it a minute. Now, I have Hershey's Toll House white chocolate morsels. I also have some little M&M minis. I'm not sure that I'm going to use those, but I took them out anyway. The lady thought it was so funny because I had a ton of things that were in my bag. I also picked up some Reese's minis, as well as some little peanut butter chips. And so you can decide what you want to add to your recipe as you're going. You may do part of it with just strictly white chocolate and, of course, the chocolate cookie. You may decide that you want nuts. You may decide that you want to give it a little peanut butter taste. It just depends on the flavors of your family. So I'm going to bring you back over. We'll get on those cookies in just a little while. So let's work on this soup. Now, our pot is boiling. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. Now, in this pot, we're going to add some potatoes. And you can just kind of add eyeball. I put in probably about 2 cups of potatoes. Think 2 cups. I'm going to add in about 2 cups of, these are mixed vegetables. And I know some of you are experiencing some very, 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 very cold days along with the white stuff. Now, we've been fortunate. It's been cold, but we haven't had any snow yet. Notice I added that "yet" to it. Let me get my spurtle. And I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I want it to come up, but I don't want it to burn on the bottom. So, okay, we've got all those good seasonings in. And, of course, you know we're going to have to re-season this. Now, this is pretty much totally plant-based. And, in fact, it probably is totally plant-based. Now, we have, I'm going to start with 1 can. And I'm using stewed tomatoes because that's what I have. If you have diced tomatoes or you have crushed tomatoes, whatever type of tomatoes that you have, add in at least 1 can. There's my 1. And if I decide later that I want to add a little extra of something else. Now I'm going in with my scissors and I'm just chopping up those stewed tomatoes so they won't be quite so chunky, even though I kind of like the chunkiness of them. But sometimes they can be a little much. And in your soup, you may not want them to be quite that chunky. So I'm adding those in, making sure that I break them up into each of those little slices into about a fourth. Okay, so we have the tomatoes in, the potatoes are in, the mixed vegetables are in, our seasoning elements, the mirepoix is in, that's all stirred up. And I do have a second can of tomatoes just in case. Now, I'm also going to add some tomato sauce because I like mine with more of a tomato base. If you don't, then don't add the tomato sauce. You know, that part's up to you. But I'm going to put in a very small can. In fact, I think it's the smallest one you can find of tomato sauce. And this can is 8 ounces, 8 ounce, little 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And I'm going to keep that handy because we will have to start adding some other liquids as we go. Now we've got the main base of this going, but we're not finished yet. And you're looking at this thinking, well, is that a soup or is that a stew? Well, my husband says I make more of a stew. Now I want a little cabbagey touch to this. So I'm going to add in a about half of my chopped salad, which has lots of cabbage, green peppers. It has kale. It has all of that in there. It has also red cabbage. And you can see, oh my goodness, how wonderful this looks already. Now, we're not finished yet. Notice, no liquids at all. I had draining over here 2 cans of cannelli beans. If you're not a fan of cannelli beans, then select the beans you like. You could use Great Northern, you could use pinto beans, you could use black beans, whatever kind of beans you like, even red kidney beans if you like those. But we're going to add the beans to it. Oh man, talking about hearty. Woo, woo. This is going to be delicious. Okay, we got this started. Now, like I said, I'm going to cut it up just a little bit because I want this to start bubbling. Now, I'm going to start with 1 box of vegetable broth. And then if I need more, I can always add it. So there's our 1 box going in. And as this simmers, you're probably going to add more liquid. And it really depends on the size of your pot. This particular pot, I think, is going to only be able to handle the 1 box. So this was a 32-ounce box of vegetable broth that I've already put in. And as this cooks down, I will add more broth because I do have a second box because my plan was to use both boxes. And if I can get in both of those boxes, woohoo! All right, so 1 box down. We've added in the hash browns. We've added in the mixed vegetables. We've added in the cabbage portion. Now, we're going to start adding in a touch of seasoning. So, you know, we put in that 1 teaspoon early of house seasoning. So this is where I'm going to come back. And I'm going to add 2 more teaspoons because this is a big pot. So I'm going to add, so that's a total of 3 teaspoons of house seasoning. The house seasoning has onion powder, garlic powder, and pepper. So that's where I'm going to start it. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I need a little basil, just a little. I'm going to add in about a half teaspoon of basil. And if you like oregano and all those other flavors, you can certainly add those herbs in as well. So that's where we're starting. Now, for me, I'm going to add in a pinch of red pepper flakes because we like it kicked up just a notch. It's not spicy, but it does add a little bit to that peppery feeling. Okay, so we've got the red pepper flakes, and a pinch, and certainly you can leave that out. Okay, now, so we are stirring, and this nice and juicy. There we go. And I'm looking at this thinking, okay, we're going to need a little bit more broth. Might as well get it in there so all of it can be well seasoned. So this is another 32 ounce. And since it is a soup, we want to make sure that we have plenty of liquid. All right, so I've added about half of this second box. And later, we may need to kick that up a notch. Now, you notice I haven't put any salt in it. So now I'm going to add that element that's going to have that saltiness to it. I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Now, while I'm working on this, you'll notice that I have on a cute little half apron. This little half apron came from Denise at the Apron Diva. And I'm not sure she still carries this one, but you know, she's planning on carrying a line of half aprons. So this one is red and green, very Christmassy, but the flowers in it are roses, so you can use it other times. Okay, so that's 2 tablespoons in. I'm going to add 1 more. All right, we have our 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast in. That's going to give us just a hint of a little cheesiness, and it will help to just bring those flavors together. Now, if you taste this later and you decide that it needs more garlic or onion, I don't think it's going to need any of that. So I'm going to let this simmer while we're working on our cookies. So I'm going to put all of this over here, nice and still. Put things up. Got the scissors. Clean up just a little bit before we switch over to the other side. I drained our beans, so all of that's going to go in the sink. Now, for our new home cooks that might be out there, keep this in mind. You want to clean as you go. And so that's what we're doing. We're cleaning up in between, and it just makes it so much easier when you're finished to have all of this done. Now, you know, later on, I may look at this and think, I think I need just a touch of tomato paste. And if that's the case, I can. And if you're not as tomato based as I am when it comes to soups, then certainly you don't have to add that part. So we'll see what we're doing. So I'm going to come over here and throw a couple of things away. I have everything set up. Let me bring you up for just a little bit so I don't have to bend over. And let's see who's out here. Oh, let's see. We've got We've got Ronnie who's saying hello. We're so glad to see you. We've got Emma who's here with us. Hello, hello. We have Madeline who's with us today. Yay. We have Michelle who's in the house. All right. And Emma, Ronnie, and Michelle are chit-chatting. Let's see. Oh, Ronnie said that her temperature, they're in the 60s. That's nice. We're in the 50s. I think it's supposed to go up to the 60s, but we'll see. Emma said that their temperatures have been around 37 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, which is very cold for December. So she said she normally gets those temperatures in January, and that's pretty much with us too. You know, those are January temperatures, not December temperatures. Madeline, thank you. It does look good, and you know it does freeze absolutely perfect. So that's a good suit to be able to have on hand. Now I'm going to get you ready. We're going to get into our mixer while all of this is coming up. So I'm going to try to focus because we want these cookies to be perfect. All right. See how close I can get you? Because you know it's fun being in the pot and close to the pot. There we go. All right, so I'm not going to talk as much, I don't think. I think we're going to focus here. In the mixing bowl, we have 2 sticks of butter already. And I'm going to let this come up. It's going to be a little bit noisy. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. So we're going to let this start to soften. And in fact, I'm going to turn it up so that it can whip the sugar, whip the butter. We want that butter to be pretty light, as light as possible, because you know that's important when you're working with things that you bake. You want that butter to be light and fluffy. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to add in my regular granulated sugar. I'm putting in, let's see, 3/4 cup of just granulated sugar. And I'm going to add in 2/3 cup of brown sugar. All of that's in. Now, this is over there. Let me get another spatula. And we're going to let this go for just a few moments. Now we need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We have to get another teaspoon there because that one got dirty. Yeah. All right. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to put that in. Now I'm going to stop it for just a few minutes and we're going to scrape it down. National Cookie Day. Who'd have thunk it? But you know, what a great time. What a great reminder that we need to bake some cookies for the holiday. And these particular cookies, now we're going to eat a few, but we're also going to freeze a few because I want these for a little function that I'm having later in the month. So those cookies will already be ready to go. All right, so we've scraped it down, and I'm going to turn it on, but not as high. Now to this, I'm going to add our cocoa. And I'm putting in 2/3 cup of cocoa. Now we're going to let that go for just a moment. I'm going to stop and scrape it down. Right now I've got a little chocolate cloud going, but that's okay. Still fun. Fun in the kitchen. Scrape that off. Okay. Got that. Turn it back on. There we go. Now, we're also going to add in 2 eggs. And I'm going to crack these eggs here on the side just in case there's a shell. So there's 1. Here's 2. 2 eggs ready to go. And I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. And we're going to let this all come together nice and tight. Because we want to make sure it's well mixed. I also need a teaspoon, actually a 4th teaspoon of salt. And where normally I'd probably leave the salt out, I can't do that when we're baking. So I'm going to put in about a 4 teaspoons right here in my hand and measure. See how accurate I was. Wow, almost perfect. That's what I had left, and here's my 4th. Let's sprinkle that in. That's pretty good. All right, we're not going to waste it. Now, this is the time that if you're going to mix quite a bit and you want to let it go so it gets nice and fluffy, do it before you add your flour. Because once you add your flour, that mixing is going to be fast. It's going to be really, really fast. So I'm going to turn it down. And in fact, turn it off. And I'm going to add in some vanilla. Let me give this a good shake. This is Watkins vanilla. I'm going to put in a teaspoon. You can use your homemade vanilla. All right, so there's the vanilla. And I'm going to start to add our flour. And I'm going to do this with a spoon so that I won't make so much of a mess. Okay. And we'll turn it on low, very low. And I'll just continue to add as we're going. And we're adding 2½ cups of flour. Now I have my oven set on 325 on some back bake because I want these cookies to be nice and tender. Okay, I've got that low enough. I think I could just do it from here without making too much of a mess. I'll sprinkle in as we go. Okay, 2½ cups of flour. That was fun. Now let's stop it just a second. We're going to scrape it down. We want to make sure we have everybody in the pool. Our soup is starting to bubble a little. Now this is a pretty stiff batter. Just know that. It's going to be pretty stiff. I didn't turn it up high, but I do want to mix this until all of the flour is mixed in. And you can tell that because you won't be able to see the flour. So I'm going to give it about a few more seconds and on low. All right. Now, I've got my white chocolate morsels. See how quick that came together? Now, I had about a cup of white chocolate morsels. Usually, if you do straight white chocolate morsels and nothing else, then you're going to need 2 cups. So we're going to put in 1 because, you know, we're going to add something else. Now, I'm going to add some peanut butter morsels to mine. And I'm going to put in a cup of peanut butter morsels. If you're not a fan of peanut butter, then, you know, don't add. But you use what you have. Okay. Turn it up. Okay. Now, our batter is all together. It is well mixed. And I'm going to take this out and bring it down. Okay. So you can see it. See how nice and chocolatey that is? There we go. I always have issues getting it off. Turn it the right way. It will come off easily. So we're going to scrape this down. Get all the goodness off. We don't want to leave anybody behind. Yum. And this is going into the dishwasher. Okay. Now we're going to take this off. I'm going to bring you over here to the cookie sheets. Get a little quick sip of coffee. Got my cups. I don't think I'm going to need my 2 pairs of glasses. And I'm going to see if I can turn you up just a little bit so we can chit chat. Hey, Denise, I see you out there. Hello, hello. We are working in the kitchen today. We're going to get our National Cookie Day on. We're ready to go. Okay, now I have 3 cookie sheets that I prepared. And I placed in the first one, I've got my reusable parchment, but I already have in place some other parchment paper as well, just regular, everyday parchment. I'm going to put those off to the side, and let me get our scoops. Now today, I'm comparing sizes. I think these are about the same. All right, today I'm using my smaller scoop. And the reason for that is because of the fact that I want these cookies, I don't want the gigantic cookies, I want them to be small because we're going to have a lot of cookies, a lot of variety in cookies. And we need to think small rather than think large. All right, or at least that's what I'm doing. Okay, so my cookies are going to be just a tad bit smaller than usual because typically I would use my ice cream scoop. Now, let me get my wooden spoon. Make sure I have everything mixed. And I'm going to bring this all together. Now, the nice thing about this particular dough is that it is pretty stiff. So it's going to come out very nicely. So I'm going to scoop. And like I said, I'm using a little small, I think this is probably about an inch, inch and a half scoop that you'd use for like your melons or your watermelon, cantaloupe. That's the size I'm using. And it also, using a smaller scoop, allows us to have, number one, more cookies, but also just makes it easier, I think, in baking. Doesn't take quite as long to bake. There's 1, 2, 3. We're going to scoop these out. Our soup is over there just bubbling away. That's a good thing. I'm going to go over there and give it a stir in just a second. As soon as we get these into the oven. Like I said, we have the oven set on 325. And I'm doing it on 325 because, number one, we're doing more than one thing. And so sometimes when you're multitasking, you may have to cut the heat back just a little bit because you don't want to burn anything up. And you want to be able to take your eye off of what you're doing for just a moment and not worry about what's going on. Okay, so I have a dozen smaller cookies. Hey, nice little cookies, nice little chocolate cookies. You see those? Okay, so these are ready to go into the oven. We're going to take these over to the stove, and then we're going to tend to that soup and give it a taste to see what else it needs. So let me get this in. I'm going to bring you with me. And we're going to put this now in my lower oven. Okay, I'm going to give this 8 minutes. I don't think it'll need that. And start 8 minutes. All right, so let's come over here and get in this pot of soup that we also have going. And give all of this a good stir. Oh, yeah. I think that's the one thing I love about the Spurtle is that it's so, it comes in a variety of sizes and lengths. And the nice long one, which is the largest one, just works perfectly. When you're working in a large pot, you're able to, it multitasks because you're able to kind of scrape the bottom of your pot to make sure nothing's sticking. And that's what we want. We don't want anything to stick. Man, it's starting to smell good already. Now I'm making sure I have everything off my Spurtle. Now I'm going to taste it because I may want to kick up the garlic just a little bit. Let me get a spoon. We have to taste as we go. Now, even though we know it hasn't had a sufficient time to simmer, we'll have an idea. as to what it's going to taste like. Woo! It's hot, and it cleared out everything. Now, Denise asked the question. She wanted to know what kind of, uh-oh, I need my glasses. I think she's asking what kind of soup, and she says she missed that part. The soup is just a vegetable soup, but we're doing this vegetable soup as a weeknight wonder. And so because of that, you will want to go back and watch the beginning, because the things that we added in here were things that literally I pulled out of my freezer. I pulled out the potatoes already cubed by using the hash browns, a bag of hash browns. I didn't put the whole bag in. I just put in about 2 cups. I also added about 2 cups of mixed vegetables into the mix. And you know those packages of chopped salad that you find that has all of your green cabbage, red cabbage, green and red peppers, and all those good things in there. I also put that in there, as well as I added 2 cans of cannelli beans to give it some more substance, and that's going to give it a lot of texture as well. And added in, at this point, 1.5 boxes, and this is a 32-ounce box of vegetable broth. And no salt, no oil, and no sugar in this pot. So this pot is really bubbling away. So I'll put all the information in the description box so you'll have it as well, and an idea, because we have a lot going on this month, and I love putting away soups that I can use not just for the holiday, but soups that I can use anytime. I can pop a container out, put them in quart containers, pop it out and have it for lunch. And I don't have to start from scratch, and I don't have to use Campbell's. Now, Denise, I know you're out there, so I wanted you to see. Remember we were talking about this little apron, this little half apron that I got from you? You see the one? This is the one with the roses, and it is so cute. It's so cute. And it's so nice to have those little half aprons. And so anyway, I'm looking forward to Denise's line of half aprons, guys, because they just dress things up, I think, and add a little extra something to your kitchen. Our aprons are like our uniforms. Some people have real uniforms. Well, we don't have those uniforms, but we have our aprons. And Denise said that she said she doesn't have any more of these, but she will have some half aprons in the winter. So guys, keep a watch out, because those half aprons are coming. And it takes me back. I love how they gather. And when you have on a dress, this particular apron looks beautiful when you're in like a red dress or a black dress, and you want to look a little something for that certain person who may be in your kitchen also. And so it gives us a chance to just add a little snazz and pizzazz to what we're doing. All right, so let's see how we're doing down here. Oh yeah, they're starting to spread. So it's going to take, it says 8 to 10 minutes. Because these were smaller, I thought 8 minutes may do it, but we may have to extend that just a little bit. So we're keeping an eye over here. Now, how many of you have your Christmas cards mailed and you're finished with all the wrapping already for the holiday? And I hope that you are certainly having a good time. Now, what you can't see, and I am so sorry that unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work. Well, it might. Let me see. Okay, when you look at this, we started basically with kind of a clear liquid. But those beans are starting to release some of their starch into our mixture. Oh, man. And technically, I could go get a cup and start to work on this soup already. Now, I think because I'm going to let this simmer for quite a while, I'm going to add, I hope, the rest of this second box because my recipe called for 2 boxes. That works out great. Now, because what happens is some of it is going to evaporate, you know that, and it's just going to make a nice, delicious soup. Now, that's our first indicator for the cookies. And I'm going to push it back just a little bit. We're going to see what's going on down here in the oven. Not quite ready yet. And these cookies, the cute thing, they're going to be almost like little balls. They're not going to put a lot of, they're not going to spread a lot. So we're going to let those continue to work. I want them nice and soft. And when they come out, I can actually take my finger and just give them a little tap. And if I want them to spread, I can spread them out once they come out of the oven. Okay, so I am stirring because the nice thing about stirring is going to help that starch really spread throughout the soup. And you're going to really enjoy this. Now I'm getting a new spoon. That's good. Now, like I said, I think I'm going to add just a touch more of garlic. So let me get a little garlic. Okay, got the garlic. Got a clean spoon. And here's our garlic. And we're using minced garlic this time. So I've got a heaping teaspoon that I'm going to add in. Because you know garlic is really good for you. Now we have put enough into this soup that we are not going to need any, we're not going to need any type of bouillon, any of that. It is well seasoned. It already has enough viscosity to it, thickness to it that the big guy laughs because he says I always cook a stew rather than a soup. But this is going to work out great. So I'm going to let this simmer. And you notice I have not put a top on it because I do want it to evaporate just a bit. Okay. So our garlic, we've taken care of kicking that up just a notch. We've taken care of all of the vegetable broth. Now, really, technically, if I wanted to thicken it up even more, I could go back and add the rest of this bag, but I'm not. I'm going to use this to go on my salad tonight. So soup and salad is what's on tap on my menu. Now I'm cutting this down to about a medium high because at this point I wanted to, it's all about the seasonings. We want it to cook. We want those seasonings to come together. And we want it to taste like it has cooked for a day. But we know it hasn't. It's been something, this is a weeknight wonder. We've been able to put it all together. And so that's the fun part. All right, let's check those cookies. See how we're doing. I need my mitt. What did I do with it? Okay. There he is. I was so busy being efficient, I put the mitt back in the, oh yeah. Let me see if they need to go back in for a minute or two. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my hand and just give them a little press. Each one a little press, just a little. So they come out very nicely. Yes, that's a little warm. Woo. But they're perfectly round. And I'm going to let these sit right here for just a few minutes. And I'm going to let them continue cooking because that's what cookies do. When we bring them out of the oven, they continue to cook and they're hot. So we're going to give them just a minute or two to continue cooking. Then we're going to put it over here on the rack. Now, at this point, what we want to do over here is to prepare the cookie dough for going in our freezer. So let me get some plastic wrap. I could put it in plastic wrap. I could really put it in a Ziploc bag. But we're going to take our plastic wrap, I'm going to lay it out, and we're going to make a log. And I think I'm going to make two so that they'll be easier to cut. It won't take so much time to have to thaw. All right, so we got our log. We're making our own refrigerated or freezer cookies. So there's our log, our slice and bake. So I'm going to cover these. Get my scissors. And cover them this way. Roll them up. And there's log number one. Now I'm actually going to sit these in a Ziploc bag, just so you know, in a freezer Ziploc bag. And they're going in the freezer. But those are ready. Let's get another one. While those cookies are cooling a little bit, because we want to taste those. Okay. I'm gonna, oh wow, I think I'm gonna get 3 of these. Okay. Make our log. Here he is. Cover. Cut. And then I'm going to roll it. And a little roll. Okay. Turn him over. There's the third one, or the second one anyway, ready to go. And we're going to have 3. So those are cookies that Santa's going to have, some of the cookies anyway. And here's number 3. This one's just a little bit larger because we're going to make sure we get everything off the bottom. Press it into a nice log, kind of like playing with Play-Doh. Here's our log, okay? And we're going to bring it over into cut. Bring this over. And go there and go. And we have 3 logs of cookies. Now, just imagine this. I'm thinking each one of these will probably do about a dozen cookies. And this is so nice because we can put these into a Ziploc bag. They're going to freeze quite nicely. But I have one in here, but I don't, of course. And whoops. Yep, I did. Now I'm using my 2-gallon bag. And the reason for that is because I already know they're going to be more cookies. So we're going to put these in the bottom. And I can add more cookies to this container, to this package, so that when it gets Christmas week, then I'll be able to just enjoy the baking. Have a day to just bake cookies. And it's just nice to bake them and not have to stop and make them. They'll be already made. So these will be going into the freezer. All right. Now, let's bring the racks over. I don't know if I'll need 1 or 2. And we'll bring the cookies over. And it's had time to cool just a bit. Here's our little cookies. And let me get our so they can finish cooling. Oh, these are better than anything you can buy in the store. Now I fixed a dozen, and the only reason I did that was because we're together in the kitchen, and I want you to be able to enjoy them as much as we will enjoy them. And in fact, I think what I'm going to do with mine is that I may fix 1 more dozen and send them over next door to my neighbor. She's a real sweetheart, and I love sending over. She and her son are over there, and she doesn't have time sometimes to do the things that we get to do during the day. Madeline sharing, here. She said she saw me doing, on one of the little shorts, she saw me mailing my cards and doing my Christmas cards. And, you know, it is so nice to know that that is off the list. That's one thing I don't have to do at this point, is to worry about those Christmas cards, because I love receiving Christmas cards. I'm sure you all do too. Now, oh, Ronnie, I appreciate that. You know, you're absolutely right. He's going to be so excited. He has no idea that I did cookies today, or that it's National Cookie Day. And so we have all of our little cookies right here on the rack. And I think we need a taste test. How about that? Let's get one. And we're going to taste it. And yes, I'm being bad because I'm having the good stuff before we get into the soup. Mmm. They are nice and soft, which is always what you want. We took them out at 8 minutes, and that's because we used the 1-inch scoop. Mmm. You can see the little white chocolate, see the peanut butter chips. The nice thing, the peanut butter chips just add a little nuttiness to them. I like that without having actual nuts in the mix. Mm, these are good. Okay, so when we finish today, I'm going to sit down immediately, type out the recipe, put it down in the description box below so that you will have it for both the soup as well as the cookies. What fun! Kitchen chat was fun. We got to chit chat. We got to cook. We got to do a little bit of everything today. Let's look over here and see how this soup is coming along. It has had really close to 45 minutes of cook time. And oh, wow, guys. I'm going to have to fight to keep the big guy out of this soup for lunch. Oh, wow. I think he's going to really love this. And I love it because it's a weeknight wonder. All right, let me get a cup. If I can stop eating a cookie. Okay, I'm going to put him away for now. I'm going to take one of my little cups that I had over here. I'm going to put some soup in. Oh, there we go. And we're going to do a little taste test. And when you have a nice little cup of soup like this, whew, it's perfect. It is so good. Oh, this is good. This is good. Madeline, you are absolutely right. Maybe he should be the taste tester for the soup. Well, you know, he sure will be. But he's camera shy, so he's not about to come on here at lunchtime and taste test anything. Not in front of you guys. This really is good. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to turn it down on low. And at this point, it's evaporated as much as I want. So I'm going to put a top on it. It's a clear top that's going to go on here so I can keep an eye on it. And it is going to continue to simmer. I'm going to let it simmer probably for about another half an hour to an hour. And once that time comes, then I'll turn it off. And when I'm ready for dinner, I'll turn it back on, let the heat come up, and we'll be ready to serve. But those flavors will have had a chance to continue to just bring everything all together. I hope you've had a fun time today in the kitchen. I have. And you know, it's always fun when we're doing fun things that we like to do. And it's all about the home cook. So we're going to I'm going to see what other weeknight wonders I can come up with. And you know what? I think it's next week. I think I'm going to have a guest on with me. And I won't tell you who it is yet, but you keep an eye out. You'll get to see. Oh, yum. If you have a cold, this is the soup for you. Mm, no salt, no oil, strictly vegetables and other seasonings. And it is so good and good for you. Have a blessed and wonderful week. Have a great time doing the things that you like to do in preparation for the holiday. So, to all of you, and I'll probably see you a couple of times this week in those shorts. So, have a great time. See you soon. You need some New Year's Eve food recipes. I love it. I love it. That's right, Denise. An apron is our best accessory. Oh, oh, thank you. You're going. Madeline says she's going to get a manicure today, and I want you to enjoy yourself. Make some soup, so when you come back, you won't have to do anything. You just come back and enjoy the soup. So have fun, guys. I'll see you right here in the kitchen. Don't you love it when your buttons? There we go.